All right, so you ready to dive into these NFTs?
Let's do it.
Looks like you've sent over a ton of sources on this, so I'm guessing you're really trying to figure out
Yeah.
what these things even are,
Yeah, for sure.
how they work, and like what the big deal is.
Totally.
So we're going to unpack all of that using what you've given us.
Okay.
And the article, What Are NFTs? From Fandom seems like a good starting point.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. They do a pretty good job of laying out the basics.
Okay.
And they even get into some of the harder to understand concepts, but in a way that's pretty clear.
Okay, cool. So let's start with the obvious question then. What
So,
are NFTs?
right.
Fandom says they are unique, immutable digital assets on a blockchain that act as a certificate of ownership. But to be honest, some of these words, I don't really know what they mean.
Yeah, it can definitely sound like a lot.
Yeah.
But let's break it down.
Okay.
So the main idea is this non-fungible thing.
Okay.
Think of it this way. If you have a $10 bill and I swap it out for a different $10 bill,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter which one you have, right?
Yeah. They're both the same.
They're both worth the same. That's fungible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't care which $10 bill I had as long as it was $10.
Exactly.
Yep.
But if you have a rare signed baseball card,
Okay.
that's different. It's one of a kind.
Right.
You can't just trade it for any other baseball card and expect it'll be worth the same.
Right.
That's non-fungible.
Gotcha.
And so NFTs are basically the digital version of that baseball card.
Okay.
Each one is unique and you can't copy it.
Okay, so that makes sense. What about this blockchain thing, though? What's that all about?
Right. So the blockchain is basically this massive digital ledger that keeps track of who owns what.
Oh.
It's super secure and transparent because everyone has a copy of it. So when you buy an NFT, that transaction is recorded on the blockchain.
Okay.
You can't really fake it or mess with that record.
So it's like a public record of ownership that everyone can see and verify.
Exactly.
Okay, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I still feel like a lot of people think that NFTs are just for digital art.
Right.
Like those Bored Ape Yacht Club pictures you see everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a common misconception for sure.
Okay.
The article from Phantom actually talks about a bunch of other uses.
Okay.
Some of which might surprise you.
Okay.
Remember how you mentioned being interested in investment opportunities?
Yeah.
Well, they talk about real estate NFTs.
Oh, yeah, the home-based DAO thing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I was kind of curious about that.
So imagine being able to invest in a property, but instead of buying the whole thing, you buy a piece of it that's represented by an NFT.
Okay.
It makes it easier and faster to buy and sell pieces of real estate.
Okay, so you're saying it's more liquid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that could lead to whole new ways of making money from real estate. It's still early, but it's definitely something to watch, especially for someone like you interested in different investing strategies.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm super intrigued by that.
Cool.
And then there's music NFTs.
Right.
I really like how platforms like Sound.xyz are giving artists more control over their work and letting fans support them directly.
Yeah. It's a pretty revolutionary model when you think about it. Instead of going through record labels and giving up a huge chunk of what they earn, artists can sell their music directly to fans as NFTs.
Okay.
They can even set it up so they get paid every time their NFT is resold.
So they're basically like cutting out the middleman.
Exactly.
And working directly with their audience.
Exactly. It gives artists a lot more control, and it could end up being a more fair system for them financially.
Yeah, it's a win-win, right?
Potentially, yeah. There's also some really cool ways artists are using NFTs to engage fans. Like offering exclusive content, backstage passes, or even voting rights on creative decisions. It's really shaking things up in the music industry.
Okay, so it's not just art and music then.
Right.
The article mentions gaming NFTs too.
Yes.
I have to say, this is the area I know the least about.
Okay, well, think about it this way.
Okay.
In lots of games, you can buy digital items or characters, but you don't actually own them.
Great.
The game developers can just take them away or change the rules whenever they want.
Yeah, I've definitely been frustrated by that before.
Exactly. But with NFTs, those items can actually be yours. You can trade them, sell them, or even use them in other games if they're designed to work across different games.
So you're saying it's like taking those rare items you earn and actually owning them instead of them being stuck in your account.
Right.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
The article highlights games like Sandbox and Decentraland, where you can buy virtual land represented as NFTs.
Oh, wow.
People are building all sorts of things on this land. from stores to art galleries to amusement parks.
So you could like earn money from owning digital land in a video game.
It is. And then there are games like Planet Mojo and Mini Royale.
Okay.
Where the characters and items in the game are NFTs. This lets players really own their stuff and allows them to trade however they want.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this is way bigger than just digital art.
Yeah, definitely.
What about the different types of NFTs? I think Phantom mentioned a few.
Yeah, they break them down into a few categories.
Okay.
First, there are PFPs and collectibles. These are basically digital pictures or avatars that people use as their profile picture on social media.
Okay.
Projects like Azuki and Kanpai Pandas are good examples.
Oh, right. Those cartoon apes everyone's using as their profile pics.
Exactly. But it's not just about the image itself. Owning a PFP NFT can also give you access to exclusive communities, events, and perks.
So it's like joining a club but online with people who have the same interests. That's pretty interesting.
Then there's art and photography.
Okay.
Which is a little more straightforward, I think. They're like digital versions of traditional art and photography, but with the added benefit of being able to prove you own it and know its history through the blockchain.
Okay.
The article mentions a couple of examples, like Technicolor Reef and Glow on Mormon Row, which were sold as NFTs.
So it's like you're not just buying a digital copy.
Right.
You're actually buying the original or a limited edition print, but digitally.
Exactly. And for artists and photographers, it creates a whole new way to make money from their work in a world that's becoming more and more digital.
Right.
It also makes collecting art easier for more people.
Yeah.
You don't have to be rich to buy a masterpiece.
Okay, so we've got PFPs and collectibles, art and photography and gaming.
Right.
That's a lot.
It is. And that's really just scratching the surface.
Thanks.
The world of NFTs is constantly changing.
Right.
And new types and uses are popping up all the time.
Wow, my head is spinning. But now I'm curious how someone actually gets started with this whole NFT thing. The article talked about this a bit, right?
Yeah, they break it down into a few main things.
Okay.
You need a marketplace to buy and sell, a wallet to store them, and some cryptocurrency to cover the fees.
Okay, so let's start with marketplaces. Are these like digital auction houses for NFTs?
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
Right.
OpenSea is a popular one, especially for people who are new to this. Okay. It's like the eBay of NFTs.
Okay.
But there are tons of other marketplaces out there.
Okay.
Some focusing on specific types of NFTs, like Sound.xyz for music or Foundation for art.
Okay. And what about Blur.io? I remember seeing that in one of the sources.
Yeah, Blur.io is more for like experienced traders.
Okay.
It's got a lot of advanced tools for like analyzing what's happening in the market.
So you basically pick a marketplace based on what you're interested in.
Right.
And your experience level.
Exactly. Then you'll need a digital wallet to store your NFTs. Think of it like a bank account for your digital stuff.
Okay.
Phantom, the company behind that article, has a really good wallet specifically for NFTs.
Okay, what about those fees you mentioned?
Oh, right. So each transaction on the blockchain has a small fee.
Okay.
Kind of like a processing fee. You pay these fees using the native cryptocurrency of whichever blockchain you're on. So if you're buying an NFT on Ethereum, you'll need some Ether or ETH to cover the fees.
Okay, so marketplace, wallet, cryptocurrency.
Yep.
Sounds like there's a bit of a learning curve there.
There is, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
And thankfully, there are tons of resources online to help you out.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Now, the article mentioned this thing called the collectibles tab in the Phantom wallet. What's that all about?
Oh, yeah. So think of that as a way to display your NFTs right in your wallet.
Okay.
You can see all the ones you have, organize them into different categories, and even hide the ones you don't want to see.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like having your own little NFT museum.
Exactly.
I'm really starting to get this NFT thing, but I think we need a minute to let all this sink in.
Yeah, for sure. We covered a lot of stuff. There's still a lot more to unpack, but hopefully this gives you a solid understanding of what NFTs are and how they work.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we've talked about like what NFTs are and the basics of how they work.
Right.
But like, what does it all mean for like regular people?
Right.
Why should anyone even care about NFTs?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's easy to get lost in all the like technical stuff and hype, but I think the real potential here is in how NFTs can change the way we interact with digital stuff.
Right.
And how different industries actually work.
Okay, I like that. Give me some examples.
Okay, so take those real estate NFTs we were talking about. It's early days, I know. But imagine if buying a house was as simple as like clicking a button and buying an NFT. No more paperwork, lawyers, or middlemen taking their cut.
Yeah, that would be a huge change for sure.
Yeah.
It would make investing in real estate so much easier for people who don't have the money or the knowledge to deal with the traditional system.
Exactly. And it's not just about access either. NFTs could also make real estate investments more liquid.
Right.
You could potentially buy and sell parts of properties much easier than you can with like traditional real estate.
Right.
That opens up a whole bunch of new possibilities for investors.
Okay, I see how that could be really big.
Yeah.
What about music NFTs? Besides getting rid of record labels, how else are they changing the music industry?
Well, think about how artists usually interact with their fans, usually through concerts, social media, or maybe at the fan club.
Right.
But NFTs offer a whole new level of engagement.
Yeah.
Artists can create limited edition albums or songs as NFTs, giving fans exclusive access to stuff like content, merchandise, or even meet and greets.
So it's not just owning the song, it's like having a more direct and personal connection with the artist?
Exactly. And because NFTs can be programmed with smart contracts, artists can build in features like royalty splits. So every time their NFT is resold, they automatically get a percentage of the sale.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. It gives them a way to keep making money from their work even years later. That's a much fairer system than the one we have now.
Definitely. Of course, there are still some challenges to work out.
Right.
But it's exciting to see artists experimenting with NFTs, finding new ways to connect with fans and make a living.
All right. Last but not least, those gaming NFTs. We talked about how players can actually own things in games. But how else are they changing gaming?
One of the coolest things is this idea of interoperability. Imagine you can take your favorite characters or items from one game and use them in a totally different game.
Whoa, that would be incredible.
Right?
Right now, if I spend hours building up my character in a game, it's all stuck there.
Exactly. But with NFTs, game developers could create these open worlds where players can move their stuff between different games.
Wow.
You would give players a lot more freedom and control over their experience.
Okay. And what about players actually earning money from playing games?
That's already happening with play-to-earn games.
Really?
Yeah, players can earn cryptocurrency or NFTs by doing tasks, winning battles, or just by like participating in the game's economy.
Wow, so it's a whole new way to think about gaming.
Whoa.
And it's giving players all over the world new opportunities.
Exactly.
Okay, this is all super fascinating.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic for a second. There are some downsides to NFTs too, right? Like I've heard a lot about how they can be bad for the environment.
Right. That's definitely a valid concern. A lot of NFTs are built on blockchains that use a ton of energy.
Right.
Ethereum, for example, has a pretty big carbon footprint.
So is it all bad news on the environmental side?
Not necessarily. There are lots of developers working on blockchains that are more energy efficient.
Okay.
Solana, for example, uses a different method that needs way less energy.
So you're saying the technology is getting better and more sustainable?
Yeah, exactly.
That's good to know. What about other downsides?
Well, security is always a concern in the crypto world.
Right.
I mean, there are stories about people losing their NFTs because of hacks or scams.
So how can people protect themselves from that?
The most important thing is to use platforms and wallets you can trust.
Okay.
Don't just pick the cheapest or easiest option.
Yeah.
Do your research. Make sure you're dealing with legit providers. And be super careful about protecting your private keys.
Private keys, what are those?
They're like the password to your crypto wallet.
Oh, okay.
If someone gets your private keys,
yeah,
they can basically steal all your NFTs.
Wow. Okay, so you got to keep those safe.
Yeah, super important.
Yeah.
Never share them with anyone.
Right.
And be careful about those phishing scams and suspicious websites.
Right, so it's like any other digital stuff.
Exactly.
Got to be smart about security.
Exactly. And another thing to keep in mind is that the NFT market is super volatile. Prices can go up and down like crazy, and there's always a chance of losing money.
Okay, so it's not like some get-rich-quick scheme.
Right.
You have to be careful and do your research before investing.
Absolutely. Be aware of the risks and invest responsibly. Don't put in more money than you can afford to lose.
Right.
And don't get caught up in the hype.
Yeah.
Take some time to actually understand the technology and what the NFTs you're buying are actually worth.
Okay, so it sounds like there are amazing opportunities with NFTs.
Right.
but also some real risks to think about.
Exactly. It's changing so fast,
Yeah.
and it's hard to say where it's going.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure,
Yeah.
NFTs are changing how we think about ownership and value and like authenticity in the digital world.
It's kind of crazy to think about how much this could impact so many parts of our lives.
It really is.
Yeah.
And we're only just getting started.
Right.
Who knows what amazing stuff will come out in the next few years.
That's what makes it so exciting.
Right.
It feels like we're on the edge of something really huge.
Totally.
But I think we need a minute to process all this.
Of course.
Before we get too carried away.
Definitely. It's been a ton of information.
It has.
And there's still a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
But hopefully this has given you a good sense of what's happening with NFTs and like the potential they have.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think I'm really starting to get the big picture now with NFTs. It's not just about like digital art or those collectibles.
Right.
It's about a totally new way we think about ownership in the digital world.
Exactly. And that shift could change everything from how artists make money to how we invest in real estate.
Yeah. It's pretty mind-blowing when you really think about it.
Yeah.
But I am curious about one thing you mentioned, that we're still early with this technology, right?
Right.
So what are some of the things you're most excited to see happen with NFTs in the future?
Well, one area I'm really interested in is how NFTs could be used to represent real-world assets.
Okay.
We've talked about real estate.
Right.
But imagine being able to buy and sell things like cars or stocks or even art using NFTs.
So instead of all the paperwork and middlemen,
right,
everything would be streamlined and digital with NFTs.
Exactly. It would make things more efficient, transparent, and secure.
Yeah.
And it could open up whole new markets for investors.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
What about you? Any specific NFT applications you're excited about?
I'm really interested to see how NFTs can empower creators and build communities.
Okay.
We touched on this with music NFTs,
right,
but I think it goes way beyond that.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. So imagine a writer who publishes their book as an NFT.
Okay.
They could offer readers exclusive content or behind-the-scenes stuff,
Right.
or even a chance to collaborate on future projects.
So it's about like connecting with your audience on a deeper level.
Exactly.
Giving them a part in your work.
Exactly. And remember, NFTs can have smart contracts.
Right.
So creators can build in things like revenue sharing or voting rights.
Oh, that's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
It's like you're building your own little economy around your work.
Right.
And letting fans join in.
Exactly. I think that's where the real power of NFTs is, connecting people, building communities, and creating new ways to work together and create value.
Okay, I'm starting to see why people are so excited about NFTs. It's not just the technology.
Right.
It's how they can change how we connect with each other and the world.
I think that's a great way to put it. NFTs are a tool, and like any tool, they can be used for good or bad.
Right.
It's up to us to shape how this technology develops and make sure it's used in a way that benefits everyone.
I agree. We need to have these conversations and really think about the impact NFTs could have, both good and bad.
Yeah, we can't just blindly accept every new technology that comes along.
Right.
We have to be aware of the risks.
Yeah.
And work together to make sure NFTs are used responsibly and ethically.
So as we wrap up our deep dive on NFTs, what are some key takeaways for our listeners?
I think the most important thing is to remember that NFTs are much more than just digital art or collectibles.
Yeah.
They represent a whole new way of thinking about ownership and what's real in the digital world.
And this new way of thinking has the potential to completely change industries like art, music, gaming, and real estate.
Exactly.
NFTs can give more power to creators, bring people together, and create new opportunities.
Absolutely.
But we also have to remember the potential downsides.
Of course.
Do your research, be careful with your money, and watch out for scams.
Very good advice.
Well, I feel like we've learned so much today.
Me too.
I'm leaving with a much better understanding of NFTs and how they could change things.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation.
It really has.
And I hope our listeners feel like they can explore this new world and help shape it in a positive way.
I think that's a perfect way to end things.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for talking with me today.
It was great talking with you.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into NFTs. We hope you found it helpful and interesting. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and dive deep.